What's up, Taiwan? I'm Reece Ayers with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Non-stop torrential rains and flooding in central and southern Taiwan have left locals scrambling to clean up the mess. 8 cities and counties have suspended work and school for several days straight after 2 large storms tore through the area this month. Irene Lin reports.
Floodwater pours down mountain highways like waterfalls, while other roads crack and crumble. As disaster response teams attempt to clear roads before more of them come crashing down in this part of Jiayi County in Taiwan's south. It's been days since Tropical Storm Koumei, now a full typhoon, passed by Taiwan's eastern waters, triggering torrential rains and landslides in central and southern parts of the country. The storm front has brought over 250 millimeters of rain to Jiayi and over 400 millimeters each to Tainan, Kaohsiung, and Pingtung. The bad weather has caused severe damage in local communities. In Kaohsiung, flash floods nearly covered this bridge that connects residents of a remote community with the outside world. It's left 900 people stranded. Inside people's homes, floodwater carrying yellow dirt caused a mess that could take days or weeks to clean up. Communities here say a collapsed retaining wall nearby is causing flooding in their homes. So far, 8 cities and counties across central and southern Taiwan have suspended work and school, as residents and work crews continue to clean up roads and homes and brace for possible more bad weather ahead. Ethan Chen and Irene Lin for TaiwanPlus.
Now, in some breaking news, Taiwan's cabinet says Taipei and Washington have reached a consensus on tariffs 1 day before the August 1st deadline. We're yet to hear what the tariff rate will be, but we'll keep you posted. Other countries, including South Korea and Pakistan, have also announced trade deals with the United States as the rest of the world rushes to meet Friday's deadline. As Chris Gorin reports, US President Donald Trump has been using tariffs not only for trade leverage, but for political goals as well.
South Korea announces a new trade deal with the United States that includes a 15% tariff on most Korean goods.
We have reduced the tariff on our main export item, automobiles, to 15%. For semiconductor and pharmaceutical sectors, which were scheduled to have tariffs imposed in the future, we will also receive treatment that is not much worse compared to other countries.
U.S. President Donald Trump, in his own statement, boasting the pact puts 0 tariffs on U.S. goods and commits South Korea to invest $350 billion in projects he says he will personally direct, and another $100 billion for American natural gas purchases. Trump also announcing a deal with Pakistan, which will see joint development of its oil reserves. The fresh accords with South Korea and Pakistan expand a patchwork of U.S. tariff rules. Some nations have negotiated terms, while others have been hit with penalty tariffs. The rest of the world, including Taiwan, left scrambling to strike a deal before the August 1st deadline. Trump has used the tariffs not only to achieve trade goals, but other political aims as well. A 25% tariff and a forthcoming additional penalty was announced against India for buying Russian oil amid the war in Ukraine and for its membership in the bloc of countries known as BRICS.
Well, we're negotiating right now, and it's also BRICS. You know, they have BRICS, which is basically a group of countries that are anti the United States, and India is a member of that, if you can believe it. And it's an attack on the dollar, and we're not going to let anybody attack the dollar. So it's partially BRICS, and it's partially this trade situation.
India, for its part, vowing to protect their national interests. Trump has also placed a 50% tariff on Brazil, Latin America's largest economy. The reason? The prosecution of the country's former president and Trump ally, Jair Bolsonaro, for an alleged coup attempt. But Brazil's current president remains defiant.
Experiências nesse país. Eu estou saindo daqui completa porque eu vou me reunir ali para defender outra soberania, a soberania do povo brasileiro em função das medidas anunciadas pelo presidente dos Estados Unidos.
Some from the 2 countries facing punishment say the high tariffs may mean they need to look beyond the U.S. market.
if the exports to America decline, then we have to look at South America. I think we are already, our Prime Minister had already visited one or two countries in South America.
When Trump launches a rotating tariff machine gun indiscriminately and without good reason, this creates great insecurity for all companies and sectors that have commercial relations with the U.S., so they are forced to seek new markets to diversify.
Meanwhile, negotiations with the U.S.'s largest trading partners, Canada and China, are ongoing, with Ottawa saying a deal can still be reached past the deadline.
Look, these are complex, they're comprehensive, they're constructive negotiations with the Americans are ongoing. It's possible that they may not conclude by the 1st of August, but we'll see.
Trump's tariffs continue to redraw the map of global trade, and the next chapter may start as soon as Friday. Scott Huang and Chris Gorin for TaiwanPlus.
The U.S. Federal Reserve has announced that they will keep interest rates steady for a 5th straight month.
At today's meeting, the committee decided to maintain the target range for the federal funds rate at 4.25% to 4.5% and to continue reducing the size of our balance sheet.
Powell's statement comes ahead of Friday's deadline for countries to strike tariff deals with the U.S. Powell also said that despite the continued growth of the U.S. economy, inflation pressure from trade and other policies are still too high to begin relaxing rates. The Fed's next interest rate meeting will be in mid-September. A top Republican senator is planning to visit Taiwan in August, according to the Financial Times. Senator Roger Wicker, who chairs the Senate Armed Services Committee and is one of Taiwan's strongest supporters in Congress, will head the delegation. The visit comes at a sensitive time for U.S.-Taiwan ties, with concerns Washington may be shifting its focus, prioritizing trade talks and a possible summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping. It comes after reports that Taiwan's president and defense minister recently delayed or cancelled trips to the U.S. due to pressure from China. In light of these alleged change to senior officials' travel plans, our reporter Alan Liu spoke with Bonnie Glaser from the German Marshall Fund to find out what this means for U.S.-Taiwan relations.
How should we interpret alleged reports that the U.S. canceled Minister Gu's visit to the U.S.? And what does that signal for the U.S.-Taiwan relations?
There appear to have been several factors, I think, that led to this postponement, if this is in fact what took place. The U.S. conducted major strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities at the end of June. It was reported that that was the primary reason. But I think it's fair to say that it was also likely that some U.S. officials worried that a visit by Taiwan's defense minister could complicate U.S.-China trade negotiations. And the Financial Times reported that Minister Gu's visit was actually canceled after a call between President Trump and China's leader Xi Jinping. I'm confident that these policy talks will be rescheduled, but it is unclear whether they will be held at the level that was initially planned. As for what this signals, it suggests to me that there's a high level of sensitivity in the Trump administration about the U.S.-China relationship.
It looks like the trade talks between China and the U.S. have played a key role in the cancellation or delay of President Li's and Minister Gu's visit to the U.S. To what extent do you think Beijing's economic leverage is influencing the decision-making in the Trump administration?
In terms of Beijing's leverage, I think what is really new is the willingness of China to deploy the rare earth restrictions against the United States. They did this in 2010 against Japan. It had mixed results. The Japanese were able to obtain the deliveries of the rare earth magnets through various means, and ultimately China lifted those restrictions. But now the new element is that in our negotiations with China, the United States has allowed export controls to be on the table. We have never before said that any of our export controls are negotiable. Previous administrations, and particularly the Biden administration, but before it, the first Trump administration, refused to do this, saying this is connected to U.S. national security. But because of the nature of decisions that were taken, I think, by the Trump administration, the Chinese decided that this was a weapon that they were ready to use. And so they have weaponized rare earths.
How significant is a presidential or cabinet level visit to the U.S. in the U.S.-Taiwan relations, given that the two still have cooperations in many other aspects?
Simply postponing one round of defense policy talks or postponing a presidential transit does not signal at all that there is any weakening in the U.S.-Taiwan relationship, although some may want to interpret it that way, and it may be used as a narrative. Potentially, Beijing might like to use this to send disinformation or propaganda to Taiwan that the United States is unreliable, which it has been doing over the last few years, trying to convince the public in Taiwan that the United States is unreliable and would never come to Taiwan's defense. So that is a potential problem that I think could be a consequence of the postponement of these visits.
That was Bonnie Glaser, a US foreign policy analyst at the German Marshall Fund. Taiwan's opposition party, the Kuomintang, will be electing its new chair on October 18th. Current chair Eric Chu announced the decision on Wednesday. He says the next recall vote on August 23rd, in which 7 of his party's legislators could be unseated, would be his final battle before stepping down. His successor would take office on November 1st. Taiwan is seeing a surge in Chinese military activity amid trade talks with the US. The Defense Ministry says it spotted 37 Chinese military aircraft and 7 naval vessels operating near Taiwan in the 24 hours up to Thursday morning. 26 of those aircraft entered Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. This area isn't official airspace, but acts as a buffer zone for defensive purposes. The military says it's monitoring the situation. A fragile ceasefire between Cambodia and Thailand has held for a second day, though both sides accuse one another of violations. Troops from both countries remain in areas where fighting first broke out over a contested border. Thailand has accused Cambodia of gunfire and border incursions, while Cambodia says Thailand has captured soldiers. An unconditional ceasefire was agreed on Monday following pressure from US President Donald Trump, who said no trade deals would be signed if fighting continued. The White House said Wednesday it reached trade agreements with both countries ahead of its August 1st tariff deadline. China also held talks with Thai and Cambodian representatives in Shanghai on Wednesday in a bid to maintain the shaky truce. Fortune magazine has released its annual Global 500 list, with 6 Taiwanese companies making the cut, most of them in the tech sector. The list ranks the world's largest corporations by their 2024 revenue. Foxconn, Apple's contract manufacturer, ranked the highest among Taiwanese companies, placing 28th with revenue of $213 billion. The AI boom propelled chip giant TSMC up 60 spots to 126th with $90 billion in revenue. The other Taiwanese companies on the list are Quanta Computer, electronics manufacturer Pegatron, Taiwan's state-owned oil and gas company CPC, and ICT firm Wistron. The top 3 companies on the list are Walmart, Amazon, and China's State Grid. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, today we leave you with images from London's Kew Gardens, where a new garden is opening to show how nature can help rebalance the carbon cycle. I'm Reece. Take care and see you next time.